What are weird jobs nobody knows about but they pay well? I once met a professional ice sculptor who made a killing at corporate events and weddings. It's a niche skill, but the pay is pretty impressive. My sister-in-law is the nose for Yankee Candle. When a vat of scented wax is ready, she sniffs it. I make teeth on a computer. I use a CAD/CAM program to design crowns and bridges for dental laboratories. I work remotely and do pretty well. My dad was a master flavorist. He made artificial flavors for candy, beverages, and lots of other things. He made a lot of money during his career. When you work as a government employee or contractor with a top-secret clearance, after you retire or get laid off, you can work as an escort within classified facilities called SCIFs. Escorts are needed when an uncleared person needs to work in the SCIF. For example, it might be a top-secret data center that needs an air conditioner repair. All the escort has to do is watch the repairman and stay with them throughout the visit. They usually just drag a chair over and sit there while getting paid damn good money. Me desperately reading through jobs to see if I qualify for any. An old neighbor of mine was a picture hanging specialist contracted by many museums. He made $75K a year at the time, about $150K adjusted for inflation. I don't even know the name for this, but a friend takes care of rich people cars for living. Pick up the car for maintenance, takes the car from A to B, etc. He doesn't actually work on the cars, just works for rich people that don't have time to take care of the car. Is super well paid, is on first name basis with some of the richest people on the country. Apparently isn't easy to find trustworthy people to take care of your cars plus access to your properties and so on. You know how they have repo men to repossess cars of borrowers not keeping up with payments? Well, they also have repo men for yachts and private jets. I talked to an older guy with a pilot's license who was getting a lot of calls to join an outfit that does this, but he said he wasn't crazy about finding out what kind of security a guy in possession of a $10 million plane would have and what they would do to keep it. Cardiovascular perfusionist. Can't have open heart surgery without us, but almost no one knows we exist. I play trumpet for a touring Broadway show. Not that weird, but it's amazing how few people know there are real musicians playing live below the stage. I'm a greens person in the film industry. I'm responsible for building and maintaining the plants and trees on a set. I was once a pinecone harvester. A helicopter would cut off the tops of trees and bring them to us to pick off the pine cones, which would then go to tree planters to germinate and plant. 35 to fill a 5-gallon bucket. Experienced pickers would fill 2 an hour, but the sap getting all over your clothes, skin, and hair is very annoying and a big deterrent for most. I used to work for a landlord doing maintenance on his properties. I had free rent and made $3K a month. This was late 90s into the early 2000s. It was a good gig. I had a truck he gave me. I would go around mowing lawns, shoveling snow, light repairs. Any major repairs he sent to the contracting company he owned, I'd call them and a guy would be over a few hours, problem out of my hands. Pet food companies have a staff of human people to taste test the food. For obvious reasons, this pays pretty well, I hear. Not that weird, but lesser known, I'm a focus group moderator, which means I sit in a conference room with a group about 8 people and lead a discussion about whatever product or brand I'm working for. The groups are usually 90 minutes or 2 hours tops, and for in-person, I get paid $2K group. Virtual groups are a little less but still excellent rates. I once had a gig trying to sneak weapons past airport security. It wasn't a long-term thing, but student me thought the pay was pretty good. In New York City, and probably only in New York City, you can be a professional wait-in-line person. You wait in line for a theater ticket or a seat at a famous restaurant. Lines that take hours. A tourist who doesn't want to wait and has a full itinerary will happily pay you to stand in for them so that they can see the show or eat at the famous restaurant later that day. Ship pilot, especially ice pilots, you need a decent amount of experience, but it's not unheard of for people's day rates to be in the multiple thousands, and if anything goes wrong, technically and legally it's the captain's fault. Not sure how unknown this is, but legal researcher just spends all day looking up cases for a law firm to support their arguments, etc. My father's friend does this, and from what I can tell, gets paid extremely well. I go to horse shows and people pay me to look at their horse every 2 hours in the middle of the night and make sure it's not dead. In the meantime, I make horses look pretty for the show ring in the morning. I can walk away from 3 days of work with over 3,000. Crime scene cleaner 60,000. I'm a pathologist's assistant. Some people know that we do autopsies, but the majority of the job is dissection of surgical specimens. Basically anything removed from the body, biopsies to whole organs or limbs, comes to us for sampling. A lot of people might already know this. Everyone focuses on how much movie stars make, but the blue-collar crew members make a pretty penny as well. Not millions for one project, obviously, but 6 figures a year type of good. Think boom op, a greensperson plants, or some dude running cable to power the sets. These people make good money. I'm a trash man. I get paid well to work out. I know a guy that makes mocked-up photos of what women will look like after they have a plastic surgery procedure. Roadies, aka the people that tour with concerts and set them up for a living. We can easily make 100k a year. Here in Germany, corpse washer cleaner, don't know the English term. I have a buddy who gets to remove or kill things on a runway. Alligators, bees, deer, birds. If it's on the active runway, no matter what it is, it gets shot and removed. Very rarely do they have to do this. I think my buddy's been doing it 5 years now and hasn't had to shoot anything. But he has had to remove alligators from nearby ponds and spray for hornets and such. Around 30 hours. I drive around and look at parking lot lights at night, making sure there are no outages. I don't fix it, I report it in an app, and the guys with the bucket truck show up later. It's part of the overall service my company provides. It's a monthly fee, and I pretty much have a set list of properties I visit either once a month or once a quarter. The pay isn't exceptional, but I basically get paid to listen to podcasts, so no complaints here. They also pay mileage properly, so no tax. Maybe not exactly an answer to the question, but yeah, there's someone that does that. I had a window screen repair business for a few years. Worked by myself out of my basement, and when it was nice out of my truck at people's homes. I probably only made 50-60k annually, but I only worked a few days a week, a couple hours a day. Work-life balance was pretty nice. I met an infusion nurse who told me about her job. She worked 3 12-hour shifts per week at a smaller clinic in a metro area. She'd hook patients up to N4 and give them their chemotherapy or MS drugs or whatever else was prescribed. Hook them up and monitor for problems, which was one of the time, and those she sent to the ER. She made 100 hour. It took a bunch of specialized training, a couple of years IIRC to be familiar with the drugs, but said it was no more than most specialized nurses. And since her field was understaffed, she could do it probably forever if she wanted. My friend is working with a guy who does the flooring felt for mini golf courses. Apparently there are only a few people in the US who do it, and they make a killing. Including expenses paid to fly out, etc. I once knew a guy that bred crickets. He sold them to pet stores. He also collected and sold the cricket poop as fertilizer. When a company gets a subpoena, they hire what's called an e-discovery vendor to comply with the subpoena. In addition to all the other stuff, there are guys who do nothing but pull down data from the company to send off to the other functions in the vendor. It takes some very specific knowledge, but a lot of these guys are pulling 200k to watch a progress bar finish. Frozen embryo travel concierge. They pick up the tanks and get them through airport security, then fly with them to the destination and drop them off. I'm a casino attendant. I wouldn't say base pay is outstanding, but when you add the tips in, then it's pretty good money. And they are pretty consistent. It's not a weird job, but an underrated one. Dog walking pays very well, especially since lockdown. People are getting dogs instead of having kids, so it's very in-demand job and pays well, very well, as people want their fur babies treated like royalty. My SO builds trails. It's a job I never considered until we met. I am much more aware of my trail etiquette, knowing people have put a lot of time and effort into making a trail for me to walk on. Bad news, only occasionally will come hiking since he spends so much time already on trail. It's like going to work for him, although when he does come with it is fun to get his perspective on the state of a trail and hear his thoughts on how it can be improved. This is one of the most interesting posts I've read. I sell compost worms on the side. You would be surprised how many people want to buy worms. I usually cannot meet demand. Bovine artificial insemination technicians. In an area with a large number of farms, a tech can make 100,000 plus company vehicle and benefits. In addition, these jobs are in rural areas, so cost of living is generally lower. I sell software. 90k base commission. WFH realistically work about 10 hours WK at most. Using the free time to get certified land and enterprise account executive role, making 150k base commission, working 30 hours week. I have a bachelor's master's in an art-related field, freelanced for 15 years before getting into this. VFX editor for scripted television. I'm in charge of keeping track of all the VFX on a show, creating temp versions, turning files over to vendors to do the finals, and a bunch of other stuff. No degree required, and I make about $250k a year. I know someone who carves dates of death into headstones. He gets 100 per headstone and can sometimes do 8 per day. Banquet serving. Rich people parties, wedding etc. Same with banquet bartending too. If your hotel company pays the servers a percentage of the gratuity, hourly can jump up to 50 hours, with cash tips on the bar. Unionized property. 60-70 during the busy season. Business is a bit slow in the winter, but with proper money management, it's lovely time off. I used to travel internationally during the slow season. I'm a sock designer. My city's average senior position salary range is between 90k and 130k a year. I met a professional mermaid while in Cancun. She wears a mermaid tail and swims in the pool during private parties and corporate events. She says that some people are hired by Disney. I work for the USPS, making $75,000 a year as a bike mechanic. 40 hours a week. As a bonus, they do a 5 retirement match paycheck, and I will also get a nice separate pension when I retire. Sober companions. They make upwards of 1k a day by living with and spending all day with those who are at risk of a relapse. I fly all over the world doing software presentations. I'm not a sales representative. My only job is to prepare a 45-minute tech demo, sometimes 10 minutes, because sales representatives are often fond of their own voice, and I make 200k. Best job ever. I do fire alarm, fire sprinkler inspections. I get paid pretty well to trip sprinkler systems and set off fire alarms. International courier. I do hair wraps and glitter airbrush tattoos 8 months out of the year. Material handling, sales consultant, engineering. Sell companies what they need to use their warehouse most effectively, and you make lots of cat or dog sitting for rich people. It's a thing. Farrier, aka trimming hooves and nailing shoes onto animal feet. The trick is only a handful of states have a school that offers a good farrier program, and not many farriers have the time for an apprentice, so relocating for a school is the best opportunity. If you have the guts and skill to trim dress hooves, you'll make a killing and can live and work just about anywhere in the